Okay, well, hello everyone and welcome. It's me, Lori Ann Spagna, here with you. I want to chat with you a little bit today about your divine birthright and your DNA. And I want to help you to understand about how activating and awakening the DNA and healing what is hidden or blocked or embedded into the DNA that could be associated with traumas is part of what is some of the major solutions on Earth. It's storing up the major solutions in your life and on Earth. So let's go through this, shall we? I want to first help you to understand that you have certain divine birthright. And this is really important to get because most humans are missing these divine birthrights. It's not that they're not there for them. It's that through lifetimes of trauma and generational upset and repeated what we call looping patterns, and I'll explain this better, and what I call DNA fuckery, which has been happening rampant on planet Earth, this stuff has really screwed with us. So we're not actually utilizing or recognizing our divine birthrights. But divine birthrights are absolutely ours, and it's time for us to be reclaiming these. And we've been working on this as light workers and starseeds, but for many of us, they've really eluded us for a very long time. And the time is now to be reawakening and reclaiming these. The best time for reawakening them is during portal windows. I explained that in last week's video. If you didn't see that, please do. The best time is always during heightened periods where more and more people are aware to gather together to do this kind of inner transformational work. Again, I addressed that in last week's video. So let's talk about these divine birthrights. They're basic, they're simple. There's not a person or animal alive on the earth that does not have these divine birthrights, but they are mostly inactive for most people and most animals, sadly. Here's what they are. These are not all of them, but this is most of the main ones. I'm good enough. I matter. My life matters. I can trust. I'm safe. People listen to me. I belong. I fit in. My life matters. I have value and worth. I'm worthy and deserving. These are some of the major ones. Now, when someone is missing these, and I'm going to make the connection of why this plays out in our global population and why, and I'm sorry if I sound like I'm screaming, I'm very passionate about this, and why when we heal and resolve these things in our DNA and in our unconscious, that as we heal and resolve these things, we are actually facilitating global improvement on Earth. We become part of the solution. So let's explain this. When these issues, these divine birthrights, are not active, in other words, they're dormant or turned off, recessive, they're not an active, awakened DNA program. When they're in the unconscious and the unconscious doesn't believe them, what ends up happening is they're not playing out, right? A trauma is somehow created. It's held in the nervous system. It's embedded into the DNA, and it blocks these things. And it creates a kind of looping pattern because, in a sense, we're unresolved on these issues. These birthrights want to be awakened. And so what happens is, for example, if we have a pattern of I'm not enough, if it's not playing out as your divine birthright, activated and awakened within you, in other words, I'm enough, what ends up happening in your life is scarcity and lack. You'll overwork. You'll accept things that are less than, or you'll tolerate the intolerable, or you'll have a slave driver programming going on, or you'll be a perfectionist. This is part of overworking. You will, yes, tolerate unacceptable behavior in yourself and others. You'll likely be programmed into some form of self-abuse or attract abusive relationships. Why? Because you have a program running that you're not good enough. I'll explain how this works. Stay with me. Now, how this shows up in the world, oh, by the way, if there's not good enough, how this shows up in the world is abusive relationships and abusive patterns to ourselves, to one another, to animals, and to the earth, where we are not respecting or honoring, and where we just don't think anything's good enough. We're dissatisfied with the state of our experience. Now let's take this not good enough to just a more generalized even, not enough. Not enough. That shows up as lack and scarcity. When someone's in a state of lack and scarcity, then they start trying for more. They want more. It's never enough. What does this do in the world? Inflation. It creates inflation. I was thinking about this in such a huge way this week, how inflation is an effect of nothing's ever enough. In fact, I was talking about it in one of my podcasts on the Awakened Elevated Human. Now, when we clear these things, and I'm going to give you some more, from our DNA, and we reprogram the DNA, repattern it in accordance with what the original divine plan was for us, and that is that these divine birthright are awakened in our DNA and activated, we completely flip the switch. So now we're no longer in lack and scarcity or not good enough, where I'm enough, I'm good enough. And that starts attracting an entirely different experience. Stay with me, I'll explain this, but I want to go through some of those other divine birthrights. One of the other divine birthrights is I don't matter. When somebody has this, well, the birthright is you matter, right? If it's not activated, you'll have I don't matter. When you don't matter, if that's activated because something's not divinely rightly aligned, like that dormant pattern is playing out in an incongruent way, you are not divinely aligned with divine truth, which is that you matter and your life matters. But if you have something deactivating this divine birthright in your DNA, then what's going to play out is I don't matter. How is that going to play out? No one's going to pay attention to you. You're not going to get your needs met. You're going to start feeling like nothing you do matters. No matter what you do, nothing will work. Because these are the feelings that you would start to have. It would indicate all kinds of frustration and irritability, because nothing you do, no matter how much you do, no matter how much you work, is going to matter, right? And this would play out in the world where there are sex trafficking rings like Jeffrey Epstein, and, it doesn't even matter that all these children are being abducted and sexually abused, and then, there's no list because they don't matter, because the inner child doesn't matter, because the sweet, innocent beings that we are don't matter. So lists with these perpetrators just disappear. That's how it plays out in the world. Sex trafficking rings. I could play this out on every minority group, by the way, not just children. Women don't matter. A minority doesn't matter. A racial injustice doesn't matter. Because if we have stuff running in our DNA that says we don't matter, that's how it plays out. And then the government lies and corrupts because the people don't matter. The masses don't matter. This is how it plays out. This is why it's so important to do the DNA work, to clear, heal, and resolve these issues, right? Divine birthright, sticking with them, how it plays out. I can't trust anyone. I've been betrayed. That's a divine birthright, to have the ability to know that you can trust. The world is safe, and that's another one, safe. I'm not safe. So the birthright is I'm safe, I have a right to be safe. The divine birthright is I can trust. I can trust in myself. I can trust in my source. The world is trustworthy. If that's not active in the DNA, if there's a misalignment, if somehow it's inactive or dormant, what shows up is I can't trust. I can't trust anybody. I can't trust people. Then we start attracting people who are betrayers, who are criminals, who victimize us, who take advantage of us, who lie and cheat and perpetrate, right? Because if you have an I can't trust program, that's what you attract. And then look in the world stage at how that plays out globally. It plays out as all these spies and secret covert conspiracy types of agendas. And years ago in my predictions call, which I do every year, I said, this came out like every predictions call over the past few years, that eventually conspiracy would be just considered to be something in the mainstream like normal, just no longer a theory. And that is indeed what's happening. We can see it. It's so obvious for anyone with eyes to see, right? But this is because the global collective has belief systems that I can't trust people and it's not safe. If we have a belief system that it's not safe, how does that play out? We're not safe. So if we're not safe, well, we put cameras everywhere, and we're spying on everybody, and it's massive paranoia, and the world is led by these narcissists because we're not safe. No one's safe with the world led by narcissists, right? So this is how it plays out when it's not when it's not rightly aligned with divine truth. By the way, for years we were activating codes in the DNA of divine truth to awaken our willingness to know truth. Now we can see that has worked. It really has. Because more and more people are starting to say, we want the truth. We don't want this BS that we were lied to anymore. We don't want to keep being lied to, right? So people are demanding it. So here's now, this is the work we have to keep doing. to awaken our dormant DNA and bring us into greater alignment. And that is these divine birthrights need to be activated and awakened and realigned with divine truth, because we do matter and we are enough. We're more than enough. We're good enough. And this whole thing like nothing works, that's just because there's been these reversal loops. Let me explain a reversal loop. But I still want to stay with these divine birthrights. A reversal loop or a looping pattern happens because what happens is if the DNA is embedded or encoded with a trauma from many lifetimes, and the DNA is not just on the physical level, right? It's etheric. The work we do with the DNA is we're working on the etheric levels beyond the first two strands. And, this is stuff science is trying to study right now. They're like, well, what's all those other 10 strands for? They don't even know there's more than 12 strands yet. All that stuff is etheric in the non-physical, and what's sometimes referred to as fourth dimension and beyond. And we're anchoring it in so that's how we up-level into 5D. It's part of it, right? 5D, new paradigm. But the idea is that if it's not activated in divine alignment, our beliefs and belief systems, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it, they're going to start playing out, right? They play out in our thoughts and our thought patterns. And that triggers emotions in us, emotional conflict. And that emotional conflict energy creates our attitudes, like the attitudes that we have. That's why we start realizing like nothing I do ever works, or I'm never good enough, or I can't trust anyone, etc. And then as that plays out, right, this creates a reverberation through our field, right? Because it basically becomes our vibration, our frequency, right? And then we don't realize your frequency is what you frequently see. Your frequency is what you frequently see. So it becomes a mirror. I've been teaching about the mirror for years and years. I've got some great podcast episodes on it. So then what you see in another is the reflection of yourself. What you see in the world is a reflection of your reverberation. This does not make you wrong or bad. This just means there's unconscious stuff that's looping in your field, that's creating these looping patterns, and basically the energetic vibration that you're trapped in starts to become the experience you have. Right? So we're just saying this happens to us personally and globally. This is why the solution to the global problems is through awakening your dormant DNA and healing and resolving the negative, we could call them negative patterns, or the dysfunctional patterns, or the traumatic patterns that are stored in the DNA. Mindset alone will not do it. That's only the mental plane, right? Even working just with the physical body alone, that will not do it. Because this stuff is beyond the mental, beyond the emotional, beyond even just only energetic. This is at a causal plane that is beyond the physical, way beyond mental, way beyond emotional. It includes karmic stuff because we inherited these beliefs, belief patterns, structures, and systems from our ancestors, our lineage. This is why it gets passed down through the bloodlines. It gets embedded into the DNA, and it hangs out there. So no amount of mindset shifting alone is going to do it. No amount of breathing exercises alone is going to do it. Those things are important. They're fabulous. I love them. But they're not enough. Not on their own. This is why a lot of light workers are like, I've done so much and it hasn't really changed. Why? Because it's somewhere embedded on the causal plane, which most humans don't even know what that plane of existence is. Most healers don't know it. It's beyond cause and effect, but it's playing out and held up by the law, universal law of cause and effect. Many of you guys know I work with the universal laws, and they're part of the collective. Let's do a couple more of these divine birthrights so you can understand. For example, beyond I can't trust people, nobody listens to me, nobody pays attention to me. Now, this is original wounding. Most of us who have done any kind of work can remember back to a time, chances are, when we were infants or children and our needs were not met. Some of us can go back to the time when we were literally in the crib, when we cried for hours and hours because some brilliant doctor told our parents to let us cry ourselves to sleep. So we'd cry for hours with a pin from a diaper in our skin, or we'd cry for hours and hours needing food or love or attention or a basic need, and because some 3D doctor or some traumatized person wasn't able to show up for us, we carry the wound of nobody pays attention to me, or nobody listens to me, or nobody's hearing me. That kind of wound will play out over and over again. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, it'll play out that your business isn't succeeding. It can also play out in this whole paradigm of, trying to go viral, which then creates other problems. Every time you say you want to go viral, you're creating some kind of viral program, right? You don't need to do that. All this competition and jealousy, it plays out that way because you're like, why isn't anyone paying attention to me? The moment you heal that, you heal and resolve that, that's not an issue for you anymore. Your vibration changes, and what mirrors back to you from your world changes. But if this is playing out in the world, now you've got a bunch of people who are jealous and competitive, trying to get attention. Me, 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 me. What does that show up? How does that show up in the world? Narcissistic leaders. Me, 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 me. It also shows up as narcissistic parents. Me, 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 me. My needs before yours. That's why that pattern has played out for so long, and we're still seeing it in our world leaders. Here's another one. When you've got a divine birthright where your needs are being denied, my needs don't matter, and your divine birthright is that your needs do matter and you matter. But if that's playing out, that will show up as nobody's paying attention to me. My needs don't matter. No matter what I do, I don't get my needs met. I don't have enough, right? Then what ends up happening is physical dis-ease a lot of times, right? It could show up as problems in the throat. I can't express myself, because it could show up in problems in any of the major chakras, by the way. When a problem shows up in a chakra center, it's because one of your vital needs or some of your vital needs may not be being met, right? Your need for survival will show up in the base or the buttocks area, the the root chakra. Your need for balance and harmony and relationship health and equality will show up in your reproductive chakra. Your need to feel confident and certain, if it's blocked, it'll show up in your third chakra. If your need for love or compassion or kindness is blocked because you didn't get your needs met, it'll show up as problems related to the heart and heart chakra. If you're not getting your needs met with regard to being safe or trusted or trustworthy or expressing yourself, if people won't listen to you or you're being denied, that could show up in your throat chakra, or you don't know how to express yourself. See, these are all needs, and we can go on, right? So these kinds of divine birthrights, they're not showing up in our physical form because they're denied to us through generational trauma that gets embedded into the DNA, and it becomes a looping pattern that plays out in our lives and shows up on the world stage. Here's one more. I'm different. I don't fit in. No, you belong here. That's the divine birthright. You belong. You matter, right? That's the divine birthright. So if you're different and you don't fit in, starseeds, lightworkers, they all have this. They say things like, I just want to leave. I just want to go home. Suicidal programs will have this. I've had so many people contact me in the last 2 weeks saying they want to commit suicide, like through people I don't personally know. Strangers to me personally, but through Facebook or emails. And I'm like, please do this with us. This is part of how my team prepares me for the DNA activations, because they show me what's needed, right? If you're different and you don't fit in, you grow up as a black sheep in the family, you start believing you don't belong. When you feel like you don't belong, you'll have no friends. It'll play out in your life. You can't find your community. You can't find your tribe. You feel like an outcast in your own life. And then what happens? It shows up in the world stage as some false leader or false authority kicking everybody out, saying they're an illegal immigrant. They're different. They don't belong. Can you see the connection here? Can you see that when we clear these traumas from the unconscious and from all the multidimensional layers of who we are, not just mindset, not just emotional, not just breathing, we have to go through all these multidimensional layers of who we are, all the way to the causal level and beyond, to our spiritual work, our karmic work, including karmic looping patterns, karmic residue, it's basically just all this entanglement that needs to be, it's like there's genetic overlays and all kinds of individual, collective karmic crap that's entangling us in these experiences, and they're playing out on the world stage. I've been teaching this stuff for years and years, and I'm so thrilled because I see how it is improving. You might see the world's going to hell in a handbasket. I see that humanity is finally waking up. And humanity's making new and better choices. But this is the time for us lightworkers to do it even more. And it improves our lives and the lives of those we love, because we are all connected through not only our DNA, but our ancestral lineage, and ultimately through all time and space, through all dimensions, because everything energetically is connected through what science now refers to as the God particle. The God particle replaced string theory. You don't need me to do the science research on this, right? You can easily research it for yourself. You can research the God particle and how it replaced string theory, which could not be disproven. We're all connected. Everything's connected. So when we start clearing this stuff out of our DNA and realigning and reawakening, and it's, again, we're not working just with the DNA. We're working on all the multidimensional levels and aspects of us, of who we are, and we're running it through the bloodlines and through the ancestry, and we're working in harmony with the laws. So we're not overriding anyone else's free will. We are doing it as we are guided, led, and told by Source Creator God, the infinite, the spark, the divine, infinite consciousness, right? So love, we are working in accordance with what we are meant to be doing. So when we heal and resolve these in ourselves, these issues, we are helping humanity on a global scale to make these changes. You can see the changes are massive. The way we can positively affect humanity, right? By the way, when we feel like nobody wants to listen to us, that's what denial is. And that's been the biggest problem, right? Not wanting to know truth on earth. So when we're coming into alignment with one of our other birthrights, which is divine integrity, which means the ability to be and who you are meant to be, and to represent in the way you are meant to represent, fully intact, whole and complete, which is the truth of who we are whole and complete. And when we awaken these codes, these divine birthrights, we come into alignment with divine truth, like organically, naturally, gracefully, easily, beautifully, magnificently. We do this in a way where we are really in just such a safe, sacred circle. It is the most beautiful, graceful, amazing, magnificent way to do this work. There is zero harm the way we do it. And we are all basically blissed out while it's happening. So, okay, I have gone on for quite a while, but I hope all of this makes sense to you. We will be working on these divine birthrights and activating them in the dormant DNA and realigning them in the most beautiful, blissful, magnificent ways in our upcoming Lionsgate DNA Activations webinar on August 8th. We will also do a second part on 9/9 because there's going to be a lot. I want to say one of the other things we're working on is the mitochondria. We're working on the physical level as well. We are going to be doing activations to repair the mitochondria, to lengthen the telomeres, to remove toxins, especially toxins that have been dumped on us from the skies and in the waters. These are the toxins in our environment that are contributing to some of the massively horrible things happening in terms of Mother Earth's cleansing, the natural healing process that's affecting us through waters flooding and all kinds of natural disasters, right? A lot of people think this is being done by HAARP or by geostorms or artificial weather control technologies. In truth, it's a lot less that and a lot more the imbalances of what's been going on. This is a whole other conversation I'm not going to go into at the moment, right? But what I do want to say is we're going to be working to repair damaged DNA, remove toxins, lengthen telomeres, heal and resolve unresolved issues like clean up the mitochondria. And we're basically going to be clearing, as I said earlier, clearing karmic entanglements and overlays that have been interfering. So we're working on both the physical and the spiritual and the energetic, all multidimensional levels. These are some of the things we're going to be doing in the upcoming Lionsgate DNA activations. Please join me. And if you're listening to this and you've missed it, you can still get the replay. There will also be another one, but totally different and separate, on the 999 Triple Stargate portal. These are one of the most powerful and potent things we can do, not only to heal and resolve our own issues and to ultimately improve our life. It goes beyond raising our vibration, although it certainly does that. It goes to restoring your divine birthright and reorganizing your consciousness so that you're shifting and up-leveling to have a whole new experience, and then reflecting in the world as these energetics reverberate and move through the field, which is referred to as 4D, right? The non-physical field, then affects all of our brothers and sisters on earth in a positive way. and ultimately improves the quality of life. This is how we get rid of false narcissistic leaders, false narcissistic programming, all the stuff we're talking about. I don't need to go into it. These are the solutions. You have the solution in your DNA. I've been teaching this stuff for years and years and doing DNA activations now for, it's got to be like 20 years now. I'm just thinking, because I always lose track of it, but DNA activations for more than 20 years. Okay, please join us. I will put the link in below, and you can, of course, head over to LoriSpagna.com under the Live Events tab, and you can join me for the DNA activations and all of these specific codes and codons, what we're working with, divine birthrights. These are templates embedded into the DNA, waiting to be realigned, reawakened, reactivated, and clear, heal, and resolve these old traumatic ones. They're just not meant for us anymore. They're not serving us. So please join us. It is on August 8th. Make sure you get in there before the rate increases, because when it comes to the last minute, I have to increase the rate just to handle the extra workload with my assistant, my administrative assistant. So it's at LoriSpagna.com under the Live Events tab. Please register. Please join us. You will love it. If you can't be there live, you'll still get the recording, and the energy will still work for you, just as effective. One last thing, if you happen to be in the Florida area on the 7th, the day before Lionsgate Portal, on August 8th, I'll be doing a live event at the Cosmic Center of Light, where we will do this kind of work. It's not this, but they'll be channeling with the collective energy healing. So if you're in Florida, in Sarasota that night, please join me. And then for the weekend of August 8th, and 9th and 10th, if you happen to be also in the Florida area, the weekend of August 9th and 10th, I am also speaking and will be doing another live event, not exactly the same one, but channeling with the collective, addressing what's going on. And that's at my website, LoriSpagna.com, under the live events. You'll see that. But that's the Wisdom of Light Conference. I'll do my best to put all the links below. By the way, you can also join us for the VIP after party right after the Lionsgate Portal to get live coaching and support with me. People write me a lot of times and they're like, I can't afford to work with you personally. I can't afford to work with you. Well, this is when I make myself available to help and support and assist you and give you coaching and mentorship at the most affordable rate possible. It's a very small group. You will get your needs met. So that's the VIP after party immediately following the Lionsgate Portal DNA Activations webinar. It's all at my website at LoriSpagna.com. And I hope you will join us. You will absolutely love it and be astounded at how fast you transform and accelerate in the most beautiful, best ways possible. Your most benevolent best. For your most benevolent best life path and trajectory. And so really what you are truly here for starts to be revealed to you, in you, through you, and for the whole, for the collective. You're serving the collective even if you never do a single other thing. You are making magnificent support and transformation for the greater good of humanity. All right, I hope this has been helpful to you. I am sending you so much love, and I hope to see you on 8/8, the Lionsgate. Okay, farewell for now. Bye-bye.